Okay, here's an easy business plan that can't fail. Get a couple of 100 acres of property out in the country, ideally near a river or a lake. Add a couple of porta-pottys, install a few faucets, and throw out some inner tubes. And now you've got a campground. Invite event promoters to rent your property to organize their own music festivals or adventure events. And make it a policy that everyone has to leave the grounds just as they found them. Give everyone a colored wristband to signal to others what is their comfort level with distancing. Then just let them do their own thing. You wouldn't hardly have to hire your own staff, and since it's your personal property, you won't be under the same scrutiny as public venues. It seems almost fail-safe, right? My guest in this episode, Lance Cauble of Water Mountain Camping Grounds in Belle, Missouri, can answer that, because that's exactly what he and his wife did in 2016. Lance was probably one of the few places in Missouri that could operate last year, and they seem to be getting bookings again for summer. But is it really the working vacation life that it sounds cracked up to be? Let's find out. Here's Lance. Hey, Lance, how are you?
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How is the weather in Missouri today?
Well, the weather was really nice. It was clear skies, and the temperature was in the low 50s. And it has been snowing here and freezing rain the last week or two. And so it's finally a break, you know?
Yeah, good. I think we're going to have to start with you just kind of describing what your facility is and what you guys do there, because you do quite a lot. And first of all, do you live on your own grounds as well?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
I did.
Cool. So why don't you go ahead and start? Just tell me about Water Mountain. Tell me everything you guys do, and I'm also curious to know the history of how you acquired this land.
Okay. Oh, then I'll start off with that. I lived in St. Louis, and I was looking for some property, mainly to start a vineyard. When I found this piece of property, it had a lot of potential. Not just growing grapes, but it had a lot of potential for events to take place. We're on a river, and since we're located on a river, we can do floating, those kind of activities, or boats or fishing. So that opened up more areas that I could work into, if I chose not to do a vineyard. And anyway, it started in 2006 is when I really had my first event. And it was called Summer Bliss. And they came out. We had live bands. It was bluegrass and various different types of music. And we set up a stage. And that was the beginning of creating a venue here at Water Mountain. Then I also decided that maybe that's where I should go instead of the vineyard, work on doing something like a venue. I'd seen this in the past where people had bought property and they created a campground venue. And so I thought, I could do something like that here in Missouri. Started out with created BDR, which is Burning Down the River. It's a Burning Man float trip, which is different than your typical Burning Man out there in the desert there. But it was, I was affiliated with it in, the regionals. I started out there in Austin, Texas, flip side. So, I kind of learned about creating a Burning Man type of an event. So I've been doing that. I think this is our 15th year. So that I've had that every year. And now we also have a regional gateway that comes out here and does their burn as well. Mainly what I currently do is rent this out as a venue. And so there's people come out to camp or just for the evening, but it's just a place where they can rent the property and enjoy it, go along the river, go swimming, things like that. And we've improved the stage, and we're going to continually improve the stage so that it's more enjoyable than it is, because it's it's not as big as we'd like to have it, but we have a lot of DJs that come out and play. So it's a 3-day event, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, or maybe it starts on Thursday as well. And anyway, that's basically what we've been doing. We have ATVs that come out sometimes. We have hunters that come out sometimes. So that was kind of in between, especially with the COVID that took place. You know, we've had a shortage of people that want to rent the property. So that's where we've kind of looked into ATVs and hunting to try to make it through.
Sure. So when you say people are coming out and renting the property, now you have 180 acres, right?
Yes.
So are they renting the entire property, a portion of the property? Okay. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And then is there housing on the property as well?
No, just my house.
Oh, okay. So these people are just camping out?
Yep. It's a primitive campground where we have like a shower area. It's like a shower bar where you can rinse off if you go down there and go swimming. You want to come back and rinse off, or if you're hot or you just want to kind of clean up a little bit. We have that. We get porta-pottys in, and that's basically it.
Okay.
Primitive.
And what's the largest group that you've had there at one time?
Probably Vibalicious, and that was probably around 700 people.
Holy cow.
Yep.
And are these people cleaning up after themselves? I got to ask.
Yes, we do leave no trace. There has been some events that we've had that have been basically a nightmare, afterwards. But I try to work through that before the event starts to let them know that they're going to be responsible for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I feel that there might be an issue, I might require a deposit for it, so that if I actually have to get out there and clean it up myself, well, then I want to be compensated for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So how were people finding you? Were they booking you on Airbnb or something like that?
Mainly through Facebook, because that's where we do a lot of advertising. I am connected with another organization, Hip Camp. And I don't know if you heard about that, but that's where you can come and basically stay on private property. So I get quite a few customers from there that come out, and you never know when they're going to show up. They just they're all of a sudden they make a decision and it comes on my calendar, and then it's like, oh, somebody's here. Wow.
So how big is your staff to maintain the property and kind of keep it operational?
Well, it's just me and my wife that keep it operational when there's not an event. If there's an event, we have people that are more like contract or volunteer for, get free entry, things like that.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm actually impressed. I mean, just you and your wife, you're saying, are pretty much running the place, and you're able to bring in crowds of up to 700 people. And they, for the most part, if they follow your guidelines, they will leave it as they found it. That's incredible.
Yep, it is.
Wow, good on you.
This event that's coming up here in July, they're saying they're anticipating 1,000. Oh, so I usually when they come out to, they plan big, and then they find out it's not quite as many people show up as they planned, mainly because you have to deal with campers. And, not everybody wants to go camp. When you can have a venue in a city, like say St. Louis, you could get what you think you might be able to pull in or close enough to it. But out here, then you have to deal with the fact that you got to get campers.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're just renting the property, and then could like an event organizer rent your place and put on their own event?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Is that normally what happens?
That's normally what happens.
Okay.
Yes. There's times that I actually will put on an event myself, but generally it's somebody that wants to come out and do all that work themselves.
Right. Oh, okay. And once again, how long have you been doing this?
2006 was when I had my first event.
Okay. So that's a good long time now. So do you feel you made the right choice over the vineyard?
Probably if I'd known what I know now, I might not have chose to go this direction, but we've had some really good bands and things like that out here that I've enjoyed. So it is pleasurable sometimes.
Sure.
But then there's music events that do take place that I'm not into the music, and I got to listen to it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Other than that, it's not too bad.
All right. Wow. That's pretty impressive. So
Thanks.
this is something that I wanted to talk about. You were able to continue having events in 2020, partly I'm guessing because it's private property and you can kind of do what you want with it, right? Was the government regulating you in any way? Oh, okay.
No, they weren't.
All right, cool.
But we were following all the guidelines of having a business, and that was important to us to follow those guidelines, and also maybe even create some more guidelines that we thought that would help, that were unconventional. And one of those kind of guidelines were we had different colored wristbands, and like we might have like 2 or 3 different colors depending on the event. And what that wristband would signify is how you felt and your security level of maintaining your COVID distance. So if you had like red, that could potentially mean that, hey, don't come around me, stay way away from me. Green might be, we don't have any restrictions. So, if you want to come into our camp, we don't have a problem. So we left it up to the individuals as they came in to make that determination, where they wanted to be. And I would say that probably about 50% said stay away and 50% said it was okay. Come close.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really smart. That was a really smart idea. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we did all the stuff like porta-pottys. They had sanitizer inside of them. They had sanitizer outside of them. We offered that all through the campsite, where if you want to clean your hands and sanitize yourself, then you can do that with soap and water and sanitizer. And when they came in, they had to sign a waiver. We want to make sure that they understood that, there's a potential that they could catch COVID. So we had waivers for that. And we checked their temperatures, with a temperature gun to make sure that they didn't work with the temperature, and ask some questions, if they'd been exposed or anything like that. So we were really following the guidelines of the state. And I think that's what made it. And then we gave out masks. And so, you didn't bring a mask, then we'd give you one. So they were always available.
Yeah.
And we had masks when we checked them in and stuff like that. And we kept their distance, and we were like, hey, here's a pen, you can use sanitizer, or here's the gloves. We gave gloves out if they felt like they needed gloves. So we did everything we could possibly do. And it was successful. Nobody reported ever having any symptoms or anything like that.
Wow.
And it was kind of also a self check-in too. So we really didn't even have contact with them other than we're watching what was taking place.
Yeah. Okay. So you're saying nobody reported getting sick after your event.
Yes.
And how many people are you talking about?
This was about probably at total under 100. It's probably like around 50 people. But this is a float trip, and what we did is we had to cancel the float. Because what we do is we rent buses, and the buses take us up to the launching point, and then they float back down to the property and they get out. And the thing is the buses were the biggest issue. They didn't know whether they were going to be able to run. And then we were questioning whether we want to have that many people in close contact. So that's why we just decided for the first year there that we'd for sure cancel the actual float trip. But if people wanted to go floating, they could do it on their own. So they'd have to take their car and not travel in a bus. So it was up to, people want to go floating. They weren't limited to going floating.
Yeah. Okay.
Just that we weren't providing the transportation.
Okay. Well, okay. So, I mean, and you never got bothered by the government about this or by the local community?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
That's great.
Yeah. And since we've had it, for 15 years, everybody knows about it around here locally. And nobody said anything.
Okay. That's great.
Other than there was, some flack from people that didn't think I should have had the event. Other than that, and it was pretty much hidden, but I was hearing it from other people telling me that, they didn't like that,
Yeah.
And it was like, well, you can't ask for any better way to continue to socialize, because the truth is, when do we know that this is going to go away? Well, back then we don't really know. This could continue for years. And
Sure.
do you just stop your social life and stay locked in your house? It's like, no, so it allowed me to really give people a place to come that, it gave them plenty of space. 50 people on 180 acres. Well, they got a few acres each if they want to stay secluded,
Sure. Yeah. Not only that, but they're out in the sun, they're doing something
Yep.
active. It's not like you're standing in line at a Costco and just sucking up everyone else's air, right?
Yep. No, totally. That's why I couldn't see any problem with doing it. I just thought, well, that only makes sense to give somebody, because I think a lot of people, this has affected them, psychologically.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And confined and not having a social life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
What is it like in the rest of Missouri? Are they pretty uptight about it?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I would say that mainly the cities are where they're really uptight. When I drive into St. Louis, it's not like where I live, which is in Belle. Belle, nobody wears a mask. In St. Louis, you better not be caught going into a store, a gas station without a mask.
Yeah,
because they're not going to let you go in. So that's the difference. And I'm sure Kansas City's the same way, in Springfield. Columbia, maybe not so much. But out here in the country, I don't know. They just got a different belief.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I think it's kind of the same in California. There are, like, Central California has a lot of rural areas. They have a lot of farmland, and it's very different. It's a very different mindset out there. But but it's like people are working, they're out in the sun, they're working, they're sweating. You can't blame them not wanting to wear a mask or.
Right. Well, you heard today that Texas lifted the mask.
Oh, really? No, I did not hear that. Oh, wow.
Yeah, going back 100%. I think in like a week or something, they're going to be back to 100% in restaurants, stores.
Holy cow! The entire state.
Yeah, the entire state.
Wow, good on them.
So it's going to be real interesting. I guess they'll be the guinea pigs to see how that'll work out. I think it's true. A little too soon, but that's my personal opinion. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So let's talk a little bit about what you have coming up in this summer.
All right. In July is going to be our first event. And it's in the planning stages right now. It's not my personal event. It is some ladies from St. Louis that have events in St. Louis. They're going to have an outdoor event because I guess most of their events have been canceled because of the COVID in St. Louis. That will be the first. That'll be the first weekend in July. And then in September on Labor Day, we're going to have Sacred Earth. And that is a kind of like a electronic music festival. A lot of psytrance.
Yeah.
If you know what that is. Yeah.
I know what that is. I'm betting you know more about it than I do, though.
Yeah. Well, it's and there'll be people that come from all over the country for that.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's people from around the world that come, but I don't know if they're going to be doing it this year.
Yeah.
But this is their first chance to really get back into it since they canceled the last year. And it's probably going to be smaller than they normally have, because I just feel that, there's probably not going to be as many people coming due to COVID. And then we have our burn event, burning down the river, and that's in July. That's going to be the third weekend in July. And that's all that's scheduled this year. Yeah. So there might be something else that pops up in the meantime, but I feel like that's probably going to be it.
Yeah.
And that has definitely affected my bottom line, having very few events. So,
right.
It's good to see some movement take place finally.
Yeah, right. It's starting to happen in California too. We're starting to see at least the local venues, the smaller venues, up to like 200-300 people. They're having shows again. But the mid-size venues, obviously the arenas are shut down, but mid-size venues, it's still very iffy. I still see that, shows get scheduled and then they get canceled or pushed back. And I'm talking about with touring acts, this would be like
right.
a 500 to maybe 2,000 seater. But yeah, there are signs that it's coming back around. I think that, the people's confidence level is improving a bit. And really, what bloody choice do we have? There are thousands, if not millions of people involved in this industry. When you include all the artists, all the people that,
right.
Work the back line, and you know what I'm saying? We got to do something. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of those musicians and DJs have just really been affected big time. Last year I did go to an event that happened, and there was a bunch there, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I'm gonna go. I'll be safe. And I didn't catch anything there. I did get COVID already, and I got that at work. So.
Oh, but you look fine. So.
Yeah, I survived it.
Right on. All right, good.
Thank goodness. Yeah.
Well, that's great. Oh, I'm glad to hear all that, Lance. I hope that things do turn around, and everyone, not just yours, but everyone's life gets back to somewhat normal again. Yeah. So go ahead and tell people how they can find out about Water Mountain, and plug your websites and your Facebook.
They can look on Facebook. Right now, we do not have a webpage, and they can go to watermountainllc.com, Water Mountain Venue. Those are two different sites on Facebook, so they can locate us there. And we will put, what we're having taking place, if it's a ATV or just camping or an event taking place. So that's the best way to find us is Water Mountain.
Okay, great. And if somebody was interested in booking your space, they would go to the same site, go to the Facebook?
Yes, they could go there and they could find my my credentials and name and stuff like that.
All right, far out. Well, Lance, it was really great talking with you. Thanks again. And I will include the links to your Facebook page in the description of this podcast. So everybody definitely go check it out. Check out what's happening over at Water Mountain, and just check out all the beautiful photos that you have on your Facebook page.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. And I hope this helped, anybody that might have learned something from it,
Yeah, I think so.
How we were able to accomplish it. And anyway.
That's right. You should be talking to the state of Missouri. You could become their poster child if they want to. if they want to compete with Texas right now. You're the guy.
Right. All righty.
All right. Take care, Lance. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.